Okay, family, here's part 2 of Jezebel. Let's get on with it.
There are two main types of the Jezebel spirit. The high-profile type is generally gregarious, which means very friendly and sociable, very outspoken and highly visible. She is often seen as the woman who wears the pants in the family. The low-profile type is soft-spoken, giving the illusion of being solicitous, expressing an attitude of concern and consideration, full of eagerness to do something, paying very careful attention to details, motherly, protective, even appearing very submissive. The low profile type may be the most dangerous as she is the most difficult to discern. She relies heavily on manipulation for her power and extremely subtle performances. Within these two main types, there are two manifestations, the seducer and the cool. The seducer uses any type of seduction available to gain control and power as a method of manipulation, but specializes in spiritual seduction to operate on both males and females. Her seduction usually uses subtle flattery, and her seduction is spiritual fornication. Men are particularly blind and easy victims to the subtleties of this seduction as she flatters them with her attention. Women seduced by the Jezebel spirit are blinded to their own seduction as they do not expect it or are not aware of such manipulation. A good example of the cool Jezebel spirit personality can frequently be seen as the efficient and often plain executive assistant at the side of a powerful businessman or church leader. This Jezebel spirit often lacks a gregarious personality but may be very outspoken and aggressive. Some of this spirit's features are as follows. The deceiver. This spirit works in private. People outside her circle hardly know her maneuvering and are an easy prey for manipulation. These that are possessed by her tend to defend her from any form of criticism, like many men today defend feminism. The man-hater. The Jezebel spirit hates men and majors in destroying them. She cannot have a true godly relationship with men because her desire is to strip them of all their perceived power and then destroy them to emasculate them emotionally and spiritually. Unsubmitted. The Jezebel spirit reviles, despises, and shows no respect for authority over her. Building on dislike of authority, especially of men since they are frequently the authority figure, coupled with rebellion, she hates anyone placed in authority over her, particularly men, and seeks to destroy them and take their power. The Jezebel spirit sees herself as the goddess on the pedestal. The power hungry. The Jezebel spirit is extremely power hungry, respecting only power stronger than her own. She disdains or considers herself superior to anyone she perceives as having no power or power less than hers. She works through her conquest to attain power over others. The intelligent. This spirit from hell is very intelligent and finds very challenging to control and manipulate intellectually able people. She is able to manipulate them so well that they actually worship her. The hard worker. The Jezebel spirit frequently sees themselves as being super achievers, which sadly is admired both in the church and business world. She is also a master in hindering others to achieve anything, doing everything she can to prevent others from achieving their set goals, and then criticizes them for not having achieved these aims. Self-worship. Internally, the Jezebel spirit worships herself, even though externally she may portray a picture of humility and submission. She is very proud of herself and extremely vain, and in her pride can only talk about herself. They are usually very attractive, and they use that to seduce their victims. Jealous. She cannot suffer others getting attention over herself, and she will do all she can to prevent others receiving attention and recognition. If one gets between the Jezebel spirit and the person she is trying to control, she'll attack most viciously, trying her best to destroy that relationship with that person. She will try and destroy his reputation, undermine his authority, and generally stop at nothing to separate anyone from her intended victim. Beware. The manipulator. The Jezebel spirit uses other people as objects where it suits her need to gain control, influence, and power. Once she has gained the control desired, she generally rejects and tosses the people aside. If they are in her family, she does this emotionally. The queen bee. The Jezebel spirit demands worship from others, the queen bee syndrome. She must have dominance and control in her home. Other family members exist just to please her. The Jezebel spirit requires worship from her family and followers to be their goddess. Domineering. The Jezebel spirit is extremely authoritarian or bossy by nature, though subtly with the low-profile type. She is easily offended if her authority is questioned and will often respond with extreme anger at even the slightest offense. She demands blind loyalty. Unrealistic expectations of others. Her expectations of others are always unrealistic because others cannot meet her demand for complete submission. If they do try, she despises them and casts them aside when she has what she wants out of them. Anyone attempting to relate to a person with this spirit is literally in a no-win situation. Nothing at all pleases this spirit. The perfectionist. Perfectionism is a common characteristic of the Jezebel spirit, generating self-hatred in the victim and a despising of others around her who fail to meet her exaggerated standards. This is part of the unrealistic expectations she has towards herself and others, but it is also an excuse for disrespect towards others, especially those in authority, since they don't measure up, so she doesn't have to show respect, of course. Seduction, control, and manipulation. Control and manipulation are the strongest parts of the Jezebel nature. These are spirits of witchcraft and are extremely dangerous. Nearly everything the Jezebel spirit does utilizes one or both spirits to attain her goal. The Jezebel spirit is the ultimate manipulator. The adulterous woman says, "This is the way of an adulterous woman. She shall eat and wipe her mouth and say, I have not done wickedness." And that's Proverbs 30:20. The first step in someone who has the Jezebel spirit is they work to control their victim by seduction. She will use flattery, smooth, prophetic sayings, pleasant words, and seducing tears. She views children in a marriage as tools and weapons to manipulate hubby and family. She knows how to use deep emotional hurts and wounds to manipulate and control as she creates apparent deep ties with others. Jezebel loves to pull people unto herself and away from those who can truly speak into their lives. The Jezebel spirit flows best in a whirlwind of confusion and turmoil where she works best. The shark. The Jezebel spirit is like a shark. She is most vicious and dangerous. She circles the lives of others looking for teachable, seducible, controllable disciples of her own. The Jezebel spirit likes to birth spiritual children of her own as she looks for disciples to eat from her own table. She will look for those that are in rebellion, who are weak, wounded, or those who are contending, bucking, and fighting any established spiritual authority. Possessive. The Jezebel spirit is very possessive and domineering. She wants to control over others. The Jezebel spirit loves power. Gimme, 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 gimme. You see, money is not really the issue with this spirit. It's power and authority that she's after. She likes to be in control of others' life because she draws her strength from controlling others. She spiritually drains her victims. She uses faults or weaknesses she perceives in the person she is attempting to control to create feelings of shame or guilt, and therefore ultimately submission to her will. She also often uses fear and intimidation to manipulate others into submission to her. Self-pity. She uses self-pity and her own weaknesses to manipulate another into submitting to her out of compassion or pity. Feeling sorry for those who has this Jezebel spirit is not compassion, it's folly. Even though often very gifted of Yahweh, the Jezebel spirit will frequently operate in the false discernment of the enemy by speaking words of knowledge gained from familiar spirits and not from the spirit of Yahweh. This is witchcraft. The power of witchcraft is derived from Satan himself, and every attempt at manipulation or control sells out more to Satan and strengthens the deception the Jezebel spirit is under. She will even use prayer to manipulate the one she is attempting to control, especially audible prayed over that person to create the illusion that doing Jezebel's will is actually obeying Yahweh, or to generate fear or other emotion within the person, which the Jezebel can then use them for manipulation of them. This is what Revelations 2 and 20 is all about. Wants power. Those who have the Jezebel spirit are attracted to people of power like moths to flames. Often, a very intelligent, efficient, attractive, and even blatant Jezebel spirit can be found serving at the feet of prominent leaders, even in the church. The deception and or seduction of the Jezebel spirit is often so successful that the leader does not recognize who is at his right hand. The Jezebel spirit's true desire is to wrest the power from the person being served. If that person is prophetic in nature, the actual mission is to destroy them by any means available.